Good morning, all of you. Good morning, students. Hope you are all doing well. Let's start with our class today. How are you doing? And I hope you are understanding all the things that I am telling you. And today we are going to talk about parallel structure. Now, what is parallel structure? A parallel structure is like a railway track. It is going to talk about parallelism. What does parallelism mean? Let's have a look. This is a very important concept, so please pay attention because this is one of those concepts which will be very useful for those students who are taking their SAT seriously, and parallel structure will really help you understand where the mistake is and how is it all going. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Yeah, it's going to be parallel structure is going to be like the railway track where you are like you have to go parallelly, otherwise there's a chance that you might collide. Okay, so let's go. What is parallelism? Parallelism is a stylistic parallel structure is a stylistic device. Okay, it's a stylistic device. When I say stylistic device, it talks about the readability. It talks about how you can improve the sense of the sentence and how you can make the form and the length more beautiful. So come, let's see. You're going to have a lot of things to note down. You could note down also. Now, parallel structure is a stylistic device and a grammatical construction having two or more clauses, phrases or words with similar grammatical form and length. Now, when let's talk about this, what I want to say is that it is basically something that has to do with phrases and words and stuff like that, and it cannot be with it can be with similar grammatical form and length. Now, when we are talking about the sentences, we have a series of phrases or clauses which start and end in almost a similar fashion by keeping the rhythm of the lines. We are going to talk about the stylistic device. Okay, it is going to be a stylistic device. We are going to talk about the clauses, phrases with similar grammatical form and length. And the most important part is it contains a rhythm of the, when you're speaking, when you're writing, I always tell you to feel it in your bones, the correctness or if the sentence is right or wrong, you feel it in your bones because the moment you find something is wrong, it's like that rhythm in the song. Some karaoke guys singing at the karaoke, you feel it's something is wrong. That is exactly what I'm talking about in language also. Okay, so let's start. These structures are repetitions that offer an enjoyable time for the readers to absorb and understand ideas, facts and concepts. They can be a part of a poetry, they can be a part of a sentence, they can be part of anything. They are going to be the noun to noun, preposition to preposition, verb to verb. They are going to be a beautiful sequence. I'll be presenting you around 6 to 7 different structures where you will be at length will be able to understand what is it that I'm talking about. Okay, let's start. So now this is about parallelism. Again, I'm telling you, parallelism is about, many people like, okay, this is what is parallelism. Imagine I write this a rhythm that is not going to match. It is to ride. If you don't want the ing forms, you can say in infinite form where you can say to ride, hike, bike and swim, or you can say riding, hiking, biking and swimming, but you have to follow one thing. You cannot say to ride, hiking, to bike and swimming. You cannot say that. Okay, the next one is, the teacher told the students that they need to get up early in the morning, that they need to sleep properly and that they need to eat properly. Got it? You have the repetition of need to, need to, need to. These are three structures that are really important. That makes it parallelism, parallel structure, or the structure is right. If I say the teacher told the students that they need to get up early in the morning and sleep sleep early, sleep properly, and I can do that also. I can only use one. They need to get up early in the morning, sleep properly and eat properly. That also I can say. I can remove all these parts and I can speak also, or have all these parts and speak. And at any point of time they need to get up early. This is present tense. Sleep early, present tense. Eat properly, present tense. They have not used different tenses. So as it is important to repeat those words to beautify the sentence, at the same time it is also important to carry on with one singular tense. You cannot say need to get up early and they should be sleeping properly and they should be eat nicely. You cannot keep juggling up. Whatever modal verb you chose, like need to, you have to stick on to need to. You cannot jungle up from would be, could be, should be, ought to. All this is not possible. Okay, you have to stick on to one. Even if you can say the teachers told the students that they need to get up early, sleep properly and eat properly. That is also right. See, in the same case, you will say properly, adverb, properly, adverb. Okay, get up early, adverb. So they are trying to make sure that it is all properly constructed. Okay, let's go to the next sentence. The cat runs across the garden, jumps over to the plant and moves down the road. Now here we have two parallel constructions in this. See, here we are using runs, simple present tense, jumps, simple present tense, moves, simple present tense. Okay, at the same time we are also using prepositions along with that. Across the garden, over to the plant, down the road. Okay, so they are following the structure. So across the garden is one prepositional structure, over to the plant is one more prepositional phrase, and down the road is one more prepositional phrase. Even if you take it as, you can even take it as an adverbial phrase, because we are talking about the running part. Okay, so you can use it as an adverbial phrase also. So in this you will see that the cat runs across the garden, jumps over to the plant and moves down the road. Or you can instead of that you can say the cat is running across the garden, jumps over to the plant and moving down the tree. If you say that, then it is wrong, because now in that case you will see running, jumping, moving. You have to use the gerund form. So whatever form you are using, please stick on to that, is what I want to say. You cannot use different things, because this is, you can experiment. No, I am not restricting you from not experimenting, but I am telling you that even if you are planning to experiment on the same phrase or for the same line. For a different line you can have a different way of using it. Okay, so that is about parallel constructions. So let's, here we are going to see some 6, these are 3 examples that I gave you. We will be doing it further, don't worry about it. We are going to do a full 1 length session, 1 full 1 hour session on this. So don't worry about it that you know you might miss something. Now we are going to pick up some sentences, some pieces from literature, where you will see how parallel structure has been used or how you will encounter parallel structure in your test. I had been short and now I was tall. I had been skinny and quiet and religious and now I was good looking and muscular. It was Sally Baldwin who brought me along, told me what to wear and do and think and say. She was never wrong, she never lost her patience. She created me and she was done. We broke up in a formal sense, but she kept calling me. So what is it that is, this is from In Good Faith by Jane Smiley. So try to find out the similarities. I had been short. Now I was tall. I had been skinny and quiet and religious and now I was good looking and muscular. See the way he is using parallel structure. Whatever structure he has used before, he is trying to continue it in the next part of the sentence also. It was Sally Baldwin who brought me along, told me what to wear and do and think and say. Told me what to do, doing and thinking and saying. No, they are on the same phrase. Told me what to wear, do and think. Infinite. She was never wrong. She never lost her patience. See, she was never wrong. Past tense. She never lost. Past tense. She created me. Past tense. And when she was done. Past tense. We broke up. Past tense. Broke up in a formal sense. But she kept calling me. Past tense. So, whenever you will see here, I had been short. Okay, so they have used the same sense from the beginning and it went on till the end. That is what it is. So let's see what is you can see how perfectly the author has repeated and emphasized the first 2 lines in the above paragraph. The author has combined several elements but given them a balance by parallel clauses. What is a clause? She kept calling me is a clause. We broke up in a formal sense was a clause. She created me was a clause. When she was done, she never lost her patience is a clause. She was never wrong is a clause. I had been short is a clause. Now I am tall is a clause. I had been skinny and quiet and religious is a clause. Now I was good looking and muscular is a clause. It was Sally Baldwin who brought me along. That was a clause. Told me what to wear and do and think and say. That's a continuation, that's an independent sentence altogether. She was never wrong. So this is how, complex things, different things can be put down in one single line or two with a beautiful way of, parallel structure and some sentence structure that you could use, and then you can make a beautiful sense. I mean, it looks so beautiful. Imagine I was short and now I was tall. How does it make sense? I was skinny and quiet and religious. Now I am good looking. It changes the whole sense. Let's go and check one more example. Goodbye to 48th Street by E.B. White. The wheels wheeled, the chairs spun, the cotton candy tinted the faces of children, the bright leaves tinted the woods and hills. A cluster of amplifiers spread the theme of love over everything and everybody. The mild breeze spread the dust over everything and everybody. Next morning in the Lafayette Hotel in Portland, I went down to breakfast and found May Craig looking solemn at one of the tables and Mr. Murray, the auctioneer, looking cheerful at another. See here, the wheels wheeled. noun and a verb. The chairs spun, noun and verb. The cotton candy tinted the faces of children. See, the cotton candy is the noun, tinted, he is in the past tense. Now we have something along. The bright leaves tinted the woods. See, this is a repetition. A cluster of amplifiers spread the theme. Now they are not changing the tense. They have used past tense, so they are continuing, spread. The theme of love and everything and everybody. See here. The mild breeze spread the dust, everything and everybody. Next morning in the left. So you see, there is a lot of information, lot of different things, and they have been beautifully collaborated and corroborated. Rather, I should say corroborated. They have been beautifully placed together so that they make beautiful sentences. Okay, so let's go down to another. The above paragraph shows parallel structures. They not only give a balance but also grace to the passage by enhancing its readability. So when you are reading it, you are not getting lost at what is happening. You are repeating it and you are, coming back and you understand things better. Okay, so let's go and check one more example. Read not to contradict and confute, not to believe and take for granted, not to find and discourse, but to weigh and consider. Read it once again, you will understand it better. It is of studies by Francis Bacon. Bacon was, as a literature student, I am in love with Bacon forever. His essays are an amazing amalgamation of different kinds of thoughts about different subjects. You have essays by Francis Bacon who talks about truth, who talks about marriage, who talks about everything possible under the sun. So you can read one of his books and you will just really like the way has been written and it has been produced. I think he was an writer in the in the 17th century. So it's an amazing thing. Okay, so now here he says, read not to contradict and confute. That means he says, don't read because you want to go against it or you want to give an argument. Not to believe and take for granted. Neither should you read because you want to believe what has been given and you have to take that thing for granted. Nor to talk and discourse. Don't read because you want to talk about it or you want to give a speech about it, but to weigh and consider. But to weigh and consider is whatever you read, you should have your opinion on it. Whatever you read, you should have a proper analysis of what is it right or is it wrong? Is it really worthy to consider or not? Okay, so what is it that it gives? In these sentences, the parallel structures use repetition to lay emphasis and help the readers to memorize the sentence easily. Is it clear? It should be. Let's go to the next. This has been taken from Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. This is a piece that I have taken from there. So you could read it. A fearful man, all in coarse grey, with a great iron on his leg. A man with no hat and with broken shoes, and with an old rag tied round his head. A man who had been soaked in water and smothered in mud, and lamed by stones and cut by flints, and stung by nettles and torn by briars, and glared and growled, and whose teeth chattered in his head as he seized me by the chin. See, such an amazing, description of a person, a ragged person. See, a fearful man, all in coarse grey. That means he looks grey. He had with a great iron on his leg. That means he was holding either he was holding an iron rod to hold the balance, or his leg was so straight that probably you could see it and feel it that he has been given an operation. He underwent an operation, and because of that his leg is so straight. He just can't bend it. And then it says, a man with no hat and with broken shoes and with an old rag tied around his head. Then he says that there is a man who has no hat, and this man has no hat, and his shoes were broken, and he had an old cloth tied around his head. And then he was soaked in water, and he had some mud stains on his body. Smothered in mud means probably, when he was walking, probably it was raining, and probably it was raining because he said soaked in water. Why else will he be soaked in water? And then he was smothered in mud. When you say smothered in mud, that means you have, big, you can see the stains of mud on his body, I mean, on his clothes and stuff like that. And lamed by stones. That means, lamed by stones means when he was walking, because his shoes are broken and it is completely raining, so he was not able to walk properly. Okay, and cut by flints. I mean, probably he was walking too far, and flints is sharp edges of stones or glass. So he was cut everywhere. I mean, probably with you know he met with an accident, or he met with something, I don't know, and stung by nettles and torn by briars, and glared and growled, and whose teeth chattered in his head as he seized me by the chin. See how much information, how much, you can imagine when you read this piece of, this piece. I mean, how in depthly it has been written and so beautifully put. So beautifully put. This excerpt presents a perfect example of parallel structure, describing a convict who becomes Macbeth. Notice that the first three sentences which start in a similar way, while the next phrases follow another similar structure. Okay, so if you go through the whole thing, you will see how, each, in the first sentence it talks about a fearful man, and then in the second sentence they talk again about the same man. In the third sentence also he talks about the man. So see how beautifully it has been written. Let's go to the next example. This is from Still Life from Woodpecker by Tom Robbins. Humanity has advanced when it has advanced not because it has been sober, responsible, and cautious, but because it has been playful, rebellious, and immature. Don't you think they are using a similar kind of an structure? In the first sentence, you started with because. I mean, in the second line, they have started with because, and they have started because it has been sober, responsible, and cautious. In the third one also, in the third sentence also, they speak about because it has been playful, rebellious, and immature. See how beautifully it has been put down. This is another excellent example of parallel structure. These structures give rhythm to sentences and leaving them grammatically balanced. Just check how grammatically balanced they are. Humanity has advanced. When it has advanced, not because it has been sober, responsible, and cautious, but because it has been playful, rebellious, and immature. Such rhythm it adds to the whole sentence structure. Let's go to the next one. This is example 6. Let's see what it is. We cool. This is written by Gwendolyn Brooks. See, we real cool. We left school. We lurk late. We strike straight. We sing sin. We thin gin. We jazz June. We die soon. The parallel structures in this short poem give it a little waltz and jingle feel. Each parallel sentence follows a basic pattern, starting with a pronoun, starting with pronouns and ending with nouns and adverbs, except the first line which ends with an adjective. What is the first adjective? We real cool. We left school. Now in the first one, the cool is the, either one can be an adjective. We can also have real as cool. We cool, real as cool, and real as adjective and cool as a noun. And then we talk about we lurk school. We left school. That means we is in pronoun there, and left is a verb that is in past tense, and school is again the noun. Then we lurk late. We lurk late is we is a pronoun, lurk is a verb, and late is an adverb. We strike straight. Now we is an noun, strike is a verb, and straight is an adverb. We sing sin. Now here we is a pronoun, sing is a verb, and sin is a noun again. We thin gin, then we is a pronoun, thin is a verb, and gin is a noun. We jazz June. We die soon. So we is a pronoun, jazz is a noun, and June. Now here it could be an adjective or it can be an adverb. Adjective. We jazz soon. Yeah, it could be an adjective. We die soon. Now that is an soon is an adverb in the last sentence. So that's it. So here you will see that most of the sentences here talk about parallel structures where we are starting with a similar line and we are going on. Okay, so these are some of the examples of parallel structures. So now let's go to the next part. So what are parallel structures? Here we are going to give more examples. Till now we have had examples from literature texts that show how your work, your parallel structures can beautify. Here we are going to learn about how we can how we can use them in our daily life, and how we can use them in our daily sentences, daily conversation and stuff like that. See, you will see parallel structure refers to the same word pattern within a sentence by repeating a chosen grammatical form. So if you have chosen to take down present tense, simple present tense, or past tense or future tense, you will use the same tense in the whole sentence. It emphasizes on the same level of importance of multiple ideas or information given in the same sentence. So when you are talking about giving a tense form and then you say you are ending it with an adverb, so you continue it in the whole thing. If you are using an infinite verb, infinite phrase, so you are making sure that it is continuing in the whole sentence, so that nowhere you find that there is some disturbance or there is some something that is wrong in the sentence. Okay, so if I will move, there is a lot of work to do. There's a lot of information. If there are two or more number of information in a sentence, grammatical form of the first information must be followed to express the remaining ideas. In a parallel structure, multiple information is usually connected by coordinating conjunctions. A parallel structure can be constructed in word, phrase, or clause level in different sentences. Let's go back. We will see how we have done it. See here, when we have talking about, we have used the same simple present tense, simple past tense in all the ways. Or when we are talking about this, see, we are using a lot of preposition with no hat, with broken bones, with an old rag, who has been soaked. and smothered in. So the structures are completely same, and we are using the conjunction end. Okay, so we are going to, so we get a parallel structure can be constructed in word, phrase or clause level in different sentences. So let's have a look at the different kinds of sentences where you will understand that we are using this kind of sentence, and we are going to talk about it. Okay, so let's start with Ryan likes swimming, hiking and to ride a motorcycle. Please check the question and the answer too, then you will understand what I am talking about. Now, in the first sentence, I can say that this is swimming, hiking and to ride. This is the sentence that is not parallel. In the second sentence, I say Ryan likes swimming, that's a noun, hiking, that's a noun, and riding a motorcycle, that's a noun. Whereas here, this is a phrase. Okay, so that is why this is a wrong sentence and this is the right sentence. Let's go to the next one, not parallel. Students were asked to do their assignments quickly. Now, quickly is an adverb, accurately again is an adverb, and in a detailed manner. Now, in a detailed manner is basically a phrase, so it does not go with this. So, let us see what we can do to make the sentence in a proper, paraphrase the whole sentence again. Students were asked to do their assignments quickly, accurately and thoroughly. That makes sense, you know. So whenever you feel that you have made a mistake, you have to paraphrase so that you get the right form. Okay, so let's now, I think, is it clear, or do you still feel that, you know, you require some more? So this is basically a phrase which we cannot use, so we have to change it, and then that's how we have to go. So we have used in the second sentence, we have used and thoroughly, and that is again an adverb and it is right. Okay, so let's go to the next sentence. Now here Mr. Ivan is a lawyer, a politician and he teaches. Check what is the thing that is wrong there. Check in the second sentence. When it is a parallel sentence and it is a proper structure, the second sentence says Mr. Ivan is a lawyer, a politician and a teacher. Please check. The next one. Dad told me that I should study a lot, that I should not eat food and to maintain a strict routine before the exam. The first one is a clause, the second one is a clause, but the third one is a phrase. So we have to change it either completely to all the three phrases or completely to all the three clauses. Dad told me that I should study a lot, that I should not eat food, that I should not eat fast food, just not food, fast food, and I should maintain a strict routine before the exam. Or I can say, Dad told me that I should study a lot, not eat fast food and maintain a strict routine before the exam. Now, before the exam is a phrase, okay. Apart from the maintain a strict routine is one more phrase. Study a lot is one more phrase. Not eat fast food is one more phrase. So, we need to understand that either we have to cut short into phrases or we have to cut short into clauses. Okay, now I hope you understood, and when you are trying to see a phrase, let me tell you, in a phrase you will not find both the subject and the objects, you might find only one, or you might find the noun depending upon what kind of phrase you are seeing. For example, here it talks about not eat fast food, so this is an adverbial phrase, and maintain a strict routine is again an adverbial phrase, and study a lot is again a adverbial phrase. So please understand what you are using. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Now here in this you will see the soldiers approach the enemy camp slowly and silent. The first part slowly is an adverb, where the second part silent is an adjective. So either we have to send both of them into adjectives, or we can change both of them into adverbs. So, but what we have to understand is what is the easiest way of solving a question or solving a reparaphrasing a sentence. For example, if you think that you are going to use too many things in a parallel structure, you have to change too many things in a parallel structure, think about a different plan. Because when you have a parallel structure, it is not the right, or any kind of a question, it is not advisable that you completely change everything and anything in the sentence. So we have to minimize the corrections as much as possible. So make sure that you are not going to change it completely. So what we will do is, the slightest things that can be changed is what is expected. But when you are writing something, it could be your essay, it could be your book, it could be your article. In those cases, definitely you can take a call depending on the time and intensity of the work needed. But when we are doing sentences, as in SAT, parallel structures is an important part, where it's a part of writing, and it is very, very important that you should completely understand where you are going wrong. You are not going to see where you are missing, or which tense you are changing. So you should be very, very clear about it. So in this sentence we say, the soldiers approached the enemy camp slowly and silently. We are talking about the approaching, and so we have to make it as simple as possible. So slowly and silently feels perfect in my bones. Let's go to the next sentence. Mr. Thomas expected that he should present his ideas at the meeting, and there would be part for him to show his slide presentation, and that he would be agreed by his partner. See, now here we have not yet done active and passive voices, but I think all those who know a bit about active and passive voices, you will see that there will be a change in the way we are going to use. In the first one, we have used present his ideas. In the second one, he says that he would present his ideas at the meeting, that there would be time for him to show his slide presentation. See, first one is the second one is show his slide presentation, and that he would be agreed by his partners. So when here we say would be agreed is basically a future tense, future continuous, future perfect tense. So in the first two sentences we used there would be time for him to, so there it is not a future perfect tense, it is an active voice. But in the third one, he says there would be agreed. When we say would be agreed, it means future perfect tense, that I will be teaching you very soon, so please don't worry about it. So how can we mend it? Let's see how can we mend it. Mr. Thomas expected that he would present his ideas at the meeting, that there would be time for him to show his slide presentation, and that his partners would agree with him. Now here you might understand that there would be time when I am saying would be time and would be agreed look same, right? But there would be time, time is a noun whereas agreed is a verb. Please understand that. Please don't get confused. When we say in the second phrase there would be time, you might understand that in the second sentence is part of the clause, it says that there would be time for him to show his presentation. Here the verb is show his presentation. In the first sentence, present his ideas is a verb. So in the last one, agree to by his partners is the verb there. Okay, so in the second clause would be time and in the third clause would be agreed, both of them are different. So please understand that first. Let's go to the next one. Now in this one you will see I like to run. To run is an infinite phrase, swim is in a simple form and surfing is verb plus ing form. So either you change it to I like to run, to swim and to surf, all of them infinite, or you change it all of them into gerunds is verb plus ing form, I like running, fishing and surfing. Not trying to adhere to both and trying to do the first one is not parallel and it is sentence construction is wrong. Let's go to the next part. Eric joined the office, worked hard and is getting a pay raise. Now when we say joined the office, joined is basically a verb, worked hard, worked is basically a verb and is getting is basically a present continuous tense or a present progressive tense, so that is not going to go along with this. So what we are going to do is Eric joined the office, worked hard and got a pay raise. Got is again a simple past. So all of them are in the parallel structure now. I hope you are understanding and you don't have any problem. If you have a problem, you know where to find me. Let's go to the next slide. Here, not parallel, this book contains poems which are romantic, soothing and can be enjoyed. Now here the first one is an adjective, the second one is an adjective, the third one can be enjoyed is in a passive phrase. So let's see how we can change it. This book contains poems that are romantic, soothing and enjoyable. Now here you would say, ma'am, it is romantic, the second one is soothing and the third one is enjoyable. Here what we are looking at is that they are adjectives or not. We are not looking at this word construction, we are looking at whether it is an adjective or not. Romantic movie, so it's an adjective. Soothing balm, it's an adjective. Enjoyable vacation, it's an adjective. So let's adhere to that. When we were doing prefixes and suffixes, we understood how we can add a prefix and the suffix and we can change the parts of speech of a word. So we have understood that, we have seen that. So here what we will think about is that whether it is an adjective or not. We are not going to talk about anything else, think about anything else. Let's go to the next question. After finishing study, one can do many things like starting a job, starting a business or the army. Okay. So now definitely in the parallel structure you will say after finishing study one can do many things like starting a job, that's a verb plus noun. The second one is starting a business, that is again verb plus noun, and the third one is or joining the army. Now we we are a verb plus noun. See, we are here verb is basically the gerund form, where we are not using the is starting or was starting, but we are using it as a gerund form. Now here when I say starting, it does not have an auxiliary verb, so it is basically a gerund form. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Now here, this is one thing that you have to understand, that where you should not be using parallel structures or need not use parallel structures. But if it's indicated in the sentence that different clauses happened at different times or will happen in the future, then this rule of parallel structure is not needed to be followed. For example, he is a player with great technical abilities, practices a lot, and will definitely play for a big club one day. Now when we are talking about, see, when it is indicated in that different clauses happened at different times or will happen in future, then this rule of parallel structure is not needed to be followed. So when I say he is a player with great technical abilities, practices a lot. So now basically he is a player with great technical abilities. Now that fellow also practices a lot. So then we say in future there is a chance that a very big club can hire him as their member or teammate. Okay, so in this case there are three different things happening here. First clause talks about his abilities, which has nothing to do, there is just an auxiliary verb to explain the verb there. In the second sent part, it talks about his practicing his rigorous practice. Now there is a verb, and here it is not an auxiliary verb, but it is a proper verb. And in the third part of the sentence, we are expecting, or he is expecting, that he will definitely play for a great big club one day, that is in future tense. And that's the reason we have used all the three. We have used an auxiliary verb to create a first clause. The second one is in simple present tense, that means he talks about how rigorously he works out. And in the third clause, we talk about how with his practice and with his great technical abilities that tomorrow he will be chosen by a big club. By using parallel structure, the rhythm of a sentence is ensured along with the grammatical balance. But if this structure is not followed while constructing a sentence containing two or more information, then there will be disruption of rhythm or grammatical imbalance. Rather than using unbalance, we can say imbalance in the sentence. So now here we have understood in the whole session that how parallel structure can really improve the the quality of the sentence, and how it can really how we can really make better sentences, and how we can really make a beautiful readable sentence. So that is what we have learned in this today's session, and we have also understood that how it is important to create the balance of having the verbs of one tense, or having adverbs to complete the meaning, or the adjectives to describe it, how beautifully it can be used. Even a complex sentence, how beautifully it can be concised and it can be parallelly constructed so that it can give a beautiful meaning to whatever the whole thing that you are doing. So basically, as I have already told you, this parallelism is very important for students who are preparing for SAT. This comes in writing part, and it really helps you work better. And this is basically a stylistic device. Stylistic device is basically that you will not find in your grammar books, because grammar books are basically, that's why they are basically rules for the construction of sentences. Whereas this is basically that garnishing that you do, like after you prepare a beautiful, imagine you are making Maggi and you are trying to garnish it with some coriander leaves or some spring onions. That is what the parallel structure does. So it adds beauty, it becomes more presentable and more readable. Okay, so parallel construction also helps in, you know, creating correct structure. Especially the SAT and the ACT are very, very particular about the parallel structure. So this is basically a stylish device like the mood that we learned in before, you know, where you have, that was again a more of an luxury than a necessity. So where you discuss and you talk about how you felt and what you felt, whatever. So this is again a one more structure that is really important for your SAT and ACT. I hope this session was very explicit and I could illustrate each and every point very, very clearly. But if at all you think that I have not been able to do that, you can always reach me and ask me for for more explanation, and I will be more than happy to do that for you. I think I have been clear about what we have done today, and I hope you have understood it more. I will definitely upload some, you know, sentences where you will find more, you know, sentences about parallelism and where you can practice them so that you can you are clear about the structure and thing, and you will be more keen when you read big sentences, complex sentences. You will be able to understand how this all works and where it is going wrong, and you will be able to feel it in your bones whether you are doing it right or you are confusing somewhere. So this is going to be really helpful. Okay, so that is for today, and I hope you enjoyed the session, and I hope the session was informative, and I really liked taking the class as usual. Thank you so much.